Bling. Welcome to yet another episode of the Agones community meeting. We are glad to see some familiar faces yet again. Cool. Oh, I've been awake early.
It's compelling television right here.
It is compelling. Yes. Same bat time, same bat channel. Very happy to have you all here today. No, that is good. Sweet. All right.
Well, I'll talk about the release since I
Go
think
ahead.
you put my name on that.
I did. I don't know why I did.
So Taser just got the 1.24 release. It's very recently been published. I think for the 1.23 release, I mentioned that we had ARM support. I think both Mark and I were tinkering with it a little bit and found out that it was not complete. There were a couple of issues. I know at least one issue filed where we'd like mistagged one of the container, so it wasn't working in the last release. It should be mostly or completely working at this point. I was able to go through like the quick starts with ARM, and everything worked just fine with the simple game server. So I think the system parts should be mostly working. Again, it's still labeled as alpha. We still don't have people that are sort of really hammering on it yet to know that it really works for real. But smoke test wise, it's definitely working at this point. And the other thing I wanted to call out for this release is the fix you made, Mark, for the fleet scaling bug. We had a number of issues people had filed where the fleet autoscaler would be trying to resize to -1, which clearly didn't work, and we get stuck. This often happened if you had multiple game server sets, especially if you had allocated from an older one, and then the fleet was trying to like do a rolling update, or you were trying to scale the newer one, just wouldn't do anything. So that should now be fixed in this release too, which I think closes at least 2 or 3 issues on GitHub that people have filed. So yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah,
all right, let's talk
bug fixes in there.
Yeah, and yeah, there's some other bug fixes too. That was the main bug fix I thought was worth calling out. All right, let's talk about features.
Sweet. Yeah, we haven't moved any features in a while, so I thought I'd check this on the list. Those 3 are the ones I think that I like for potentially moving up from beta, like external DNS move from beta to stable. The custom fleet autoscaler resync period could move to beta, and graceful termination could move that up to beta as well. We should write tickets for each of these and make sure and CC in the people we think are using those to get a sense. And maybe drop something. I might also drop something in Slack too, just to triple check everything. But they've all been running through end-to-end tests for a while, so they should be in theory fine. But I can.
So I know we have end-to-end tests for the custom fleet autoscaler one, right? That actually exercises that functionality. The other ones, do we actually have like they seem like features that are maybe harder to test, like the node external DNS? Like, how do we test that? Or are we just running the same?
Right. We don't test that. I mean, it's actually a really small piece of code. And ultimately, it's like if this thing is there, like then use it, right? Like it's like lookup in a struct, basically.
Right. I guess my point was more the fact that the end-to-end tests are passing doesn't tell us that this is actually working the way people want it to. Like, I think for node external DNS, like somebody has to say like, yes, this does what I want when I run on EKS.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that's normally what it's impacts.
This has been in beta and enabled since 1.19, so it's been in 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations, and no one's complaining about it. So maybe that's a potential indicator.
Yeah, that might be enough. And yeah, I just my point was more like for a lot of features, the end-to-end tests we're testing with and without it. For this feature, we're testing with it turned on and off, but the behavior isn't ever going to get triggered because of the environment where the tests are running.
Yeah.
I had a similar question on graceful termination. Is I don't know if we are actually exercising killing pods and seeing them terminate differently during the end-to-end tests. I can't remember what the testing for that feature looked like.
There's got to be something, because I wouldn't have accepted it if we didn't have anything. But apparently I did. That's fun. Who approved this? I did. Okay, so I can only blame myself. It's only when seek kill is received. We should write an end-to-end test for this then. This doesn't look like it actually has one.
Right. Just to verify that the determination behavior is actually working correctly
Yeah.
now and continues to work correctly in the future. So that one I think is a little bit more work to promote because it's not just um, flipping future defaults and leaving everything in place. I think that one we probably want a little bit of testing around.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the
Review
resync
this.
period one got that testing
Yeah.
as part of the alpha feature,
That did.
but the other two I don't think did.
Okay.
And so yeah, node external DNS I don't think does because it's not really
Ah,
possible for us to test it on GKE.
so what I'm hearing is write tickets is to move up a feature level and plus in the relevance. Believe functionality. And then for this one, write a ticket to write end-to-end tests. Somebody else wants to do. Oh, I'm just gonna write tickets. Really,
Sounds good.
that sound reasonable.
Yep.
I can do that. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Graceful termination. Probably also write some docs for that too. Should also some patient for this. Check. Oh, double check both of those. Actually, I'm not sure. Oh, we do have some docs. We have some docs. Yeah.
Client SDK is index has some docs, and there's some docs on the feature stages. It looks like yeah, there's just one little paragraph about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we have some docs. That's not too bad. That actually works out all right. All right, so we don't need that. That's fine. Right. Cool.
All right. Well, I stuck the next agenda item in here and stuck your name on it, Mark. So do you want me to talk about it?
That's a good one to talk about. You might have seen some messages. I did there was some glue and string stuff that was doing cleanup work for like the images that got created in for CI builds. That made assumptions about how things were tagged and stuff. And as we started doing multi-arch support, that changed the way we were tagging a bunch of stuff. And so the CI script was like, hey, those things that you're creating there, we're going to get rid of those, particularly the Windows images, possibly also the AMD60, some of our original ARM ones as well. Apparently it was leaving out Linux ones alone, which is good. So I've turned that script off. That's all gone and gone bye-bye. But what I've also done is something we want to do anyway, which was start to move stuff over to artifact registry. And so in this PR that is still open, I've set things up. So actually, no, is the PR open? Yeah, the CI images PR is still open. That's right. So the first step of that was to move the images that are created from continuous integration. That's right. I need to actually make that public. Move it from continuous integration to a CI artifact registry specifically for that. Thus, if we ever do any cleanup on that registry, like It's completely removed from the releases, which are still in GCR, but we'll eventually make like a releases like registry, and probably what was the other one we had there, a ticket, and like a registry for our examples. So they're all separate. We have separate rules for them, and it's much harder to like accidentally do stuff in the wrong place.
We can also add ACLs so that like people can't push to the CI registry.
Yeah, I need to
build automation can.
I think that's how. I'm fairly sure you can do separate permissions for different artifact registries, but I need to go double check that as well. But yeah, that is the idea.
Hope, yeah.
Yeah, nothing's gonna change for like existing registries. The plan would be to leave everything that is old in GCR, so they all still exist. That's all fine. And then just new builds, if you're installing from like install YAML or Helm, like it just points to the artifact registry for the new stuff instead. That also gives some nice stuff. We get some nice new features from that too. Although our images aren't very big, but like the new whatever the fast pull down of images for GKE, for example, works with the artifact registry and not container registry. So we get some like fancy new stuff that way too, if you ever need it. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think I put a link to it in that issue when I initially found it. GKE image streaming for fast application startup and auto scaling.
That's the one.
Awesome name. Do they have like a short name for it?
GKE image streaming. Image streaming. Yeah. I think you just add image streaming to your node pool and you're like, bloop, done. Yeah, actually, that's literally it.
But the images have to be an artifact registry. So that will not help if you are running release images until the releases get moved over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess one thing I wanted to mention with this is I don't think it will affect anybody negatively if we move the location of the images to a different registry. But before we move the releases, we should, sort of put the word out there that, in Slack and kind of maybe ping this ticket, or maybe for the next release, we should push to both or something so that we can let people know that they are moving over. Like it might be good for a release or two to push to both so that we can say, here's where they are. They're also in the old location. If for some reason the new one doesn't work for you, please let us know, because we're planning on not pushing the old location starting with release X, right? I don't know if they're like weird issues with firewalls or polls or something. Like on Google Cloud, I can't see it being a problem. But for people that are running elsewhere,
we just make it public
or something else, like maybe there's something that would block those. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think is like,
yeah, I can't think of a reason either. I mean, the good thing is like if it's on artifact registry and like you can't get it, then you just can't upgrade. So it's not like it's going to stop you for like you're currently running production systems.
Right, that is true.
Yeah,
and I think it's probably pretty easy to copy the image and re-push it to GCR if we had to.
Yeah,
like after the fact. So that might be good enough. We should maybe put like a note in the 125 release saying, hey, by the way, next release is moving over. Here's where all the CI builds are. We've maybe moved over our example images. Try pulling those in your systems and make sure everything works, because the releases will be there soon.
Yeah,
like we could do it that way too instead of pushing to both.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I've been using artifact registry for my local builds and testing, and like it's seamless. Like it doesn't make any difference.
Well, that's the thing. Like I think for us working on Google Infra, it will be seamless. It's just if somebody's doing something weird like on-prem or
they have to like
firewall
go
or something,
or something to like be like, hey, this is something I need to be able to pull stuff down on. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Exactly.
That's fair. Yeah. I think that's also why CI builds were probably a good one to start with, because they're super low risk. Examples might actually be another good one to move over as well, because then
yes, if we can move examples over and then we got the 125 release with CI and examples of the new one, we can tell people, hey, this is the last release where it's going to be on GCR.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it, go try pulling some of the examples into your into your production setup or your staging setup and verify that it works.
Make a note of that. Next, let's migrate the examples. Images. So let's see. Examples are The least risk. Well, actually, we're not migrating. We're actually going to make copies. History. So, example, YAML files. Yeah, so one of us can create the example
I can update
registry.
the ticket for that.
Yeah, I just had a note on that. Literally just.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I didn't write anything about it, giving people a heads up, but that's a good one. That's a good one. Cool. Remember how to make there's a thing for how to make artifact registry public. So I will do that at some point. I've done it in another registry in a different project. I did it for Quilkin, so.
Oh, or the CI one's not public right now.
They're not public right now. I just realized I put that in the bottom of the ticket.
Okay,
You have the PR. I've got a note at the bottom of the ticket. Like, oops, you need to make this public. Yeah, the nice thing is you can actually see here. I'll show this as well. I'll show this tab. That's small. The notification string and glue uses the image artifact of Cloud Build to list stuff. You can actually see all of these images are available on artifact registry. The US Docker.pkg Agones images CI. Like there's the controller. For some reason, it doesn't. We were talking about this yesterday. It doesn't show there's the ARM ones, the AMD64. It doesn't pick up on the Windows ones for reasons.
Strange.
Yeah, don't know why, but it's fine. It's like not a huge deal. Oh, that's fun. That's wrong in the notifications there. It says Helm Agones tag 1.24. It should just be that without the AMD 64 in the end. But one problem at a time.
Yeah.
One problem at a time.
That's from the string and glue scripts also, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's there's some assumption in there that there was only one architecture. So that's just a little cleanup. One day we'll move over to I'll move this all over to the GitHub actual Cloud Build integration and use the notifier bot system that's runs on Cloud Run and is written in Go as well. So like those of us who don't write Node, like you just don't write. Like I have a bunch of really bad Node scripts because that was just like how Cloud Functions worked when we first built them, and that's how I built all this stuff. And no one can see it because it's all insecure. And yeah, we can share all that stuff out. I can literally copy what I did in Quilkin and do it better.
That sounds awesome.
One day.
You find some time to do that soon.
One day it will get so broken that I'm just gonna be like, nope, table flip. We're replacing it all. But it's been.
So you're saying I just need to break it so that I
can
make that day come sooner, right?
Pretty much. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, it's been annoyingly stable. Yeah, it's like, oh god, it's so hacky. Yeah, we don't have to talk about it. It's fine. That's a good one. Cool. Right. I don't have anything else to say about artifact registry.
You want to talk about Kubernetes versions?
Yeah, I couldn't remember, so I thought I'd ask the question.
I just did a look. I think EKS is still on 122.
Yeah, so I was poking around too. So EKS is at 122. They say 123 is coming in August.
Yeah.
Our next release is last week of July, first week of August. So like that might actually kind of line up okay. AKS has had 123 GA since April, so it's already there. And GKE has 123 as a valid master version on no channel. The default is still 122. 123 is the default in rapid, but not in regular or stable channels, which is expected, right? Stable's pretty old, but it's not the default in regular, but it is a valid version in regular. So you can jump on a no channel or regular channel 1.23 right now. And 124 is a valid version in rapid. So I think depending on how we parse our statement about supported on the different platforms, I'd say 123 is supported on AKS and GKE. We'll be able to create, I guess the important thing for us, we'll be able to create a cluster on GKE at 123, not on a release channel that we can test against. And it should be coming in EKS rather in August, not long after the next release. So EKS folks might not be able to run 125 like day and date on the supported version of Kubernetes. They can still run 124, obviously, but very shortly thereafter, EKS should support 1.23, Kubernetes 1.23 also. So I feel like it is probably a good time to upgrade, so we can kind of stay ahead of the curve for Kubernetes versions. I can't remember if there was some.
I've forgotten
one of these
that list. Can we write that down?
Yeah.
I was kind of tracking it in my brain, and I was like, "Yeah, I've lost it. I've lost it. It's all gone."
There was one of the upcoming Kubernetes releases, like definitely like starts dropping support for stuff. So I don't know that will affect
1.25.
25. Okay.
I feel like because I was chatting with John Faust, who does open match stuff, and like was it pub security policy disappears, which we don't use. Yeah. Well, I don't think we have any beta stuff anyway, or I think we got rid of all that stuff a long time ago.
I think we do too, but it may prevent people that are running applications, like if they're using features, even if Agones isn't, it may make it hard for people to upgrade. Like I know, I think it was like 1.19 or 1.20 that changed something, and there was a lot of anguish. Like it didn't affect Agones as the product, but it affected people, that were running a cluster that had other stuff in it too, and like maybe their software was using an old API and it was no longer there, and lots of anguish as things get removed. I can't find which version that was. Anyway, I'll file a ticket and dump the data in there. And then anybody can leave a comment there if they'd like to object and sort of keep us on 122 for one more release. I think after the next release, it'll be pretty obvious we'll want to upgrade, because at that point, EKS will also be supporting 1.23. So if anybody really wants a feature in the new version and is really running on EKS only, and is concerned about running an unsupported version, then we can consider holding back. But according to our support policy, we are clear to go forward.
Cool. I don't have any other items. I'm trying to think. I did mark some. The only thing I could think of, I was running through issues while I was watching TV last night because it's fun. I don't know why I enjoy that so much, just looking for stale stuff. So I dropped a bunch of comments on some issues I think we could probably close as stale. You probably saw releases for that. So So far, I don't think I've got any responses from anybody. So I'll give it a little bit, and then we'll always come back around and delete them. Some people close some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a huge harm in closing an issue. If somebody still thinks it should be open, they can reopen it also, right?
Yep.
But if they don't think it should be reopened, then it's one less thing to skim through next time. Cool. Steve, did you have any agenda items you wanted to add, or?
No, not this time. Just just keeping up really. So we're starting to lag a bit behind on the installation version, but yeah, maybe we can do some updates.
Actually, I'm kind of curious about that. Like in terms of release cadence, we've talked about release cadence a couple of times. I think people generally agreed in the past that we want to keep it at 6 weeks. Is that starting to feel kind of uncomfortably fast for you?
I think for us, we're comfortable staying behind, so just updating, whatever's there, so it doesn't affect too much.
Okay, cool.
I think for you, Stephen, you're like, I don't mind if you keep upgrading. We'll just stay on what we're on. It's fine. It doesn't force us to move.
Yeah. We tend to.
It's nice to have the option if you wanted to.
Yeah. I think for us also it means doing a Kubernetes upgrade as well, because so it's a lot of things at once.
I feel like it's more like you're like, I'm going to upgrade Kubernetes. Maybe we should do Agones at the same time. Therefore, we're just going to take on that whole burden at once. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Just looking through. Do you want to talk about fairness policy at all? I know I still need to write a ticket for that to do some checks.
Yeah, let's talk about that next time. So I think we need to understand a little bit better what's going on there. So just for background, and I think it was Kubernetes 120 beta feature was turned on, which means it was on by default for API fairness. So basically they've started bucketing different API clients and are trying to allocate sort of QPS from clients into different buckets. And so what this means is that if you are sending lots of requests to the API server in your cluster, stuff starts getting throttled. And so we are as yet sort of a little bit unclear on which parts of our system are going to get throttled, if any, if we are in the right sort of buckets. I think we ended up in a default bucket because we haven't specified any bucket for our API calls.
I'm not entirely sure how you do specify the bucket. I was trying to look at the docs and it didn't seem very clear either.
Right. Yeah, so we've got some investigation to do there, I'd say.
I'm gonna. Where did that go? I'm just looking for my reminder to do that. And I've lost it. Oh, found it. Okay. I'm checking that in my list of things to also get done today. Cool. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
I don't either. All right. Should we give everybody 23 minutes back?
I think so. I'm just having a look to see if there's any particular issues that have been brought up recently. That are worth discussing. Not seeing anything. No. Thank you for your help with the Node.js example image, Stephen.
Oh yeah, it's good to see new new person contributing to the project. So yeah, it's good.
I'm actually just gonna make it work.
It's interesting. I never use when I'm running the tests. I don't use that method. I would just run them directly, not via the Docker image. I think it's a Windows thing. It's just Docker's a nightmare, so just easier not to use it.
That's why I take the image and I'm like, I should run this and make sure it actually does the thing that we think it does. I'm gonna take it for a spin, and sometimes they don't work, and I'm like, that's a problem.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna take my time to go do some code reviews for you, Mark. You got a couple things I think that are blocked on me.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
See you, everyone.